Hey there, fellow garden enthusiasts. You know that feeling when you drive past those stunning farms with rows of vibrant crops and everything just looks perfect? Those lush green fields that seem to whisper success stories? I bet you've wondered, how do they do it? Well, I've got some good news for you. It's not magic, and you're about to learn one of the most crucial secrets behind those thriving gardens. I remember when I first started farming, standing in my small plot, watching my plants struggle while my neighbor's garden flourished. It was frustrating, right? But here's the truth that changed everything for me. Successful farming isn't just about hard work. It's about smart work. And at the heart of smart farming lies one fundamental skill: proper irrigation. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But I've seen how the big farms do it. I can just copy that. Hold that thought. You see, that's exactly where many beginners go wrong. They jump straight into expensive systems and complex setups without understanding the basics, and before they know it, they're watching their money and dreams wash away faster than overwatered soil. But don't worry, I'm here to break it all down for you in a way that actually makes sense. Think of irrigation as the foundation of your farming success story. Just like you wouldn't build a house without a solid foundation, you shouldn't start farming without understanding how to water your crops properly. When you get this right, you'll see amazing benefits. Healthier plants that grow faster and stronger, better yields that'll make you proud, and soil that's alive and thriving with nutrients your plants can actually use. Before we dive deep into the good stuff, let me give you a quick roadmap of what we'll cover in the next few minutes. We'll start with the absolute basics of irrigation, the stuff nobody tells you but everyone should know. Then we'll move on to planning your irrigation system. And trust me, this part will save you thousands in the long run. After that, I'll share some game-changing installation and maintenance tips. And finally, we'll tackle those common irrigation problems that keep farmers up at night. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's transform your garden into that thriving, productive space you've been dreaming of. Remember, every expert farmer started exactly where you are right now. They just needed someone to guide them through the basics. And that's exactly what I'm here to do for you today. Understanding irrigation basics. Hey folks! Quick question. Have you ever wondered why some plants in your garden thrive while others struggle, even though you're watering them all the same? Or maybe you've noticed your water bill skyrocketing, but aren't seeing the results you want in your crops. Well, you're not alone. And today we're going to crack this puzzle wide open. Let me share something that blew my mind when I first started farming. Did you know that overwatering kills more plants than underwatering? Yeah, that's right. It's like drowning your plants with kindness. I learned this lesson the hard way when I lost an entire bed of peppers, because I thought, more water equals better growth. Boy, was I wrong. Picture this. Two farmers, same soil, same crops, but one uses half the water and gets better results. What's the difference? It's all about understanding your irrigation systems. Think of irrigation systems like tools in your toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, right? The same goes for watering your crops. Now that you understand why proper irrigation is so crucial, let's dive into the different types of irrigation systems you can use for your crops. Trust me, by the end of this section, you'll know exactly which system will work best for your garden, and I'll even show you where to get your water from. Ready to become a water-wise farmer? Let's dive in. Irrigation systems. First up, let's talk about drip irrigation. The smart farmer's secret weapon. Imagine tiny water soldiers delivering moisture directly to your plant's roots, one drop at a time. This isn't just efficient, it's revolutionary for your water bill. I remember when I first switched to drip irrigation. My water usage dropped by 40%, and my tomatoes? They practically danced with joy. Here's the real game changer. Drip systems prevent those nasty fungal diseases that love wet leaves, and they put water exactly where your plants need it. Now, let's move to sprinkler systems. They're like having tiny rain clouds at your command. Perfect for larger areas, especially when you're growing crops that don't mind getting their leaves wet. But here's a pro tip that took me years to learn. Water early in the morning. Why? Because evening watering is like inviting fungi to an all-night party on your plant's leaves. Morning watering gives your plants time to dry out during the day. Overhead irrigation? Think of it as your traditional rain simulation. It's great for establishing new seedlings and cooling crops during those scorching summer days. But this is crucial. It's the least water-efficient method. I've seen farmers waste thousands of gallons before realizing this wasn't the best choice for their needs. Water sources. Now let's talk about something that keeps many farmers up at night. Water sources. Your water source is like the heart of your irrigation system. Everything flows from here. Let's start with well water, nature's underground reservoir. If you've got a well, congratulations. You're sitting on a gold mine of garden goodness. Well water is usually packed with natural minerals that plants love. But here's the catch, and I learned this the hard way. Get your well water tested annually. I once had an entire crop of lettuce turn bitter because my well's pH had shifted without me knowing it. Municipal water? It's like having a reliable friend, always there when you need it. But here's a pro tip that changed my garden game. Let it sit out for 24 hours before using it on sensitive plants. Why? City water often contains chlorine. Great for human safety, not so great for delicate plant roots. I keep a couple of large barrels filled and ready to go, and my plants thank me for it with bigger, better harvests. Now, let me share my absolute favorite, rainwater harvesting. This is like capturing little pieces of heaven for your garden. One good rainstorm on a typical house roof can collect hundreds of gallons of perfect, pH-balanced water. I've set up a simple system of gutters leading to storage tanks, and during those dry summer months, this stored rainwater becomes more precious than gold. Here's a little secret about rainwater that most people don't know. It's naturally soft and slightly acidic, making it perfect for plants to absorb nutrients from the soil. When I started using collected rainwater in my greenhouse, my tomatoes didn't just grow, they thrived like never before. Remember folks, your choice of water source and irrigation system should work together like a well-oiled machine. It's like a perfect marriage. When you get it right, amazing things happen in your garden. Next time, we'll dive into those water conservation techniques that'll help you make the most of every single drop. Water conservation techniques. Let's dive into water conservation techniques with the kind of practical, engaging advice that can transform your farming game. Hey garden warriors, ready to become a water-saving superhero? Because what I'm about to share isn't just about saving water. It's about growing more with less. You know that feeling when you see your water bill and your heart skips a beat? Well, those days are about to be history. Let me start with a story that changed my entire approach to water conservation. Last summer, during the worst drought in decades, I visited 2 neighboring farms. One farmer was constantly watering, yet his plants looked stressed. The other's garden? Thriving with half the water. The difference wasn't luck. It was smart water conservation techniques that I'm about to share with you. First up, mulching. Your soil's cozy blanket. Picture this. A layer of organic material that's like a shield for your soil. Straw, wood chips, leaves. They're all garden gold. When I first started mulching, I couldn't believe the difference. My soil stayed moist twice as long, and those pesky weeds, they barely stood a chance. Here's the magic number. A 3-inch layer of mulch can reduce water evaporation by up to 70%. That's like getting free water savings while you sleep. Now, let's talk about timing. Because when you water is just as important as how much. Early morning is your golden hour, folks. Why? Think of it like this. If you water at noon, it's like throwing ice cubes into a hot frying pan. Most of it just evaporates. But water early in the morning? That's giving your plants a breakfast buffet they can enjoy all day long. I've seen my water efficiency improve by 30% just by switching to morning watering. Here comes the game changer. Soil sensors. These little gadgets are like having tiny underground spies telling you exactly when your plants need water. No more guessing games. When I installed my first moisture sensor, it was like getting X-ray vision for my garden. You know what I discovered? I was overwatering half my crops without even realizing it. Now, I only water when the sensors say it's needed, and my plants are healthier than ever. Let's talk about the deep watering technique. Think of it like training your plant's roots to become marathon runners instead of sprinters. Water deeply but less frequently, and your plants will develop deeper roots, making them more drought-resistant. I water about half as often as I used to, but when I do, I make it count. The result? Stronger plants that can handle dry spells like champions. Here's another pro tip that revolutionized my garden. Grouping plants by water needs. I call it the Water Buddy system. Put thirsty plants together and drought-tolerant ones in their own section. It's like creating little water-efficient neighborhoods in your garden. Since implementing this, I've cut my water use by 40% while maintaining the same yield. And don't forget about capturing and reusing water. Those 5-gallon buckets under your gutters? They're like free water vending machines. Even the water you use to wash vegetables can go back to your garden. Every drop counts, and every drop saved is money in your pocket. Here's the real secret sauce: soil improvement. Healthy soil is like a water bank account. Add organic matter, and your soil's water-holding capacity skyrockets. I add compost twice a year, and my soil now holds water like a natural sponge. Last summer, my neighbors were watering daily, while my garden thrived on twice-weekly watering. Let me wrap this up with something mind-blowing. By combining these techniques, mulching, smart timing, sensors, deep watering, plant grouping, water capturing, and soil improvement, you can cut your water use in half while growing healthier plants. Think about that. Better results with less water. That's not just conservation, that's smart farming. Remember, folks, every drop of water saved is a drop you can use tomorrow. These aren't just techniques, they're investments in your garden's future. Start with one method, master it, then add another. Before you know it, you'll be the one teaching others how to grow more with less water. Now, who's ready to become a water conservation master? Because trust me, once you see these techniques in action, there's no going back to the old way of farming. Your plants, your wallet, and our planet will thank you for it. Planning your irrigation system. Hey there, garden friends. Today we're going to tackle something that might seem overwhelming at first: planning your irrigation system. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do this as easily as planning your weekly groceries. No fancy engineering degree needed, I promise. Let's start with what I call the garden detective work. Grab a piece of paper and let's do this together. First, walk around your garden. What kind of soil do you have? Squeeze a handful. Does it feel sandy like the beach or sticky like clay? This matters because sandy soil needs frequent but short watering, while clay soil needs less frequent but longer watering sessions. When I first started, I treated my clay soil like sandy soil, and boy, was that a mess. Next up, the sun study. This is actually kind of fun. Spend one day noting where the sun hits your garden, and for how long. You can even take pictures on your phone every couple of hours. Why? Because sunny spots need more water than shady areas. I used to water everything the same until I realized my shaded lettuce was swimming while my sun-baked tomatoes were thirsty. Now for the fun part, what I call plant mapping. Draw a rough sketch of your garden. Don't worry about making it pretty. Mine looks like my 5-year-old nephew drew it. Group your plants by water needs. Heavy drinkers, like tomatoes and cucumbers. Moderate drinkers, like peppers. And light drinkers, like herbs. This is your irrigation game plan. Let's talk about water pressure. Here's a super simple test. Time, how long it takes to fill a 5-gallon bucket from your outdoor faucet. If it takes more than 2 minutes, you've got low pressure and should plan for a drip system. Less than 2 minutes? You've got options, including sprinklers. When I first skipped this step, I ended up with sprinklers that just made sad little water puddles. Budget time. But wait, don't run away. Here's my simple rule. Start small and expand later. You don't need to irrigate everything at once. I started with just my tomato patch, and guess what? The money I saved on water paid for expanding the system to the rest of my garden. Here's your shopping list basics. Soil sensors. Timer. Trust me, it's worth every penny. Main water line, the big hose or pipe. Smaller distribution lines. Drippers or sprinklers, depending on your irrigation system. Basic tools, scissors, hole punch, and pipe clamps. Pro tip. Take a picture of your garden to the irrigation supply store. Those folks love helping plan systems, and they'll make sure you get parts that work together. I learned this after 3 trips buying the wrong connectors. Now here's something most people skip: the practice run. Lay everything out on the ground before making any permanent connections. It's like doing a puzzle, much easier to fix mistakes when nothing's connected. I once had to dig up an entire system because I skipped this step. Never again. Last but not least, zones. Think of your garden like rooms in a house. You wouldn't heat every room the same way, right? Same with watering. Create zones based on plant water needs, sun exposure, soil type, slope of your land. Remember, folks, the best irrigation system isn't the most expensive or complicated. It's the one that matches your garden's needs and your ability to maintain it. Start simple, get it working, then fancy it up if you want to. Think of this planning phase like building with Lego blocks. Start with the foundation, add pieces as you need them, and before you know it, you've built something amazing that works perfectly for your garden. And hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember, every expert gardener started exactly where you are now. The only difference is they took that first step. So grab that paper, walk your garden, and let's get planning. Your future self and your plants will thank you for it. Installation and maintenance tips. Hey farmers, you've done the brain work. Now it's time for the fun part, getting your hands dirty. I know installation might sound scary, but I'm going to break it down so simply that you'll wonder why you ever worried about it. And maintenance? Well, it's like brushing your teeth. Simple routine habits that save you from big problems later. Starting with installation, let me tell you about my first time setting up a drip system. I was so nervous I triple-checked every connection. But here's what I learned. It's just like putting together a puzzle where all the pieces actually want to fit together. Let's break this down into baby steps. First up, laying out your main line. Think of this as the highway that carries water to all your plants. Here's a pro tip I wish someone had told me. Lay your main line in the sun for an hour before working with it. The warmth makes the pipe more flexible and way easier to work with. Trust me, this little trick will save you some frustrating moments and maybe a few choice words. When it comes to connections, here's my golden rule. Tight is right, but too tight breaks flight. What do I mean? Well, hand tighten everything first, then give it just a quarter turn with tools. I learned this the hard way after cracking 3 connectors in my first attempt. Expensive lesson, but you get to learn it for free. Now, for the real game changer, pressure testing. Before you bury any pipes or finalize your setup, run your system for 30 minutes. I call this the leak and seek phase. Walk your lines, check every connection, and mark any drips or sprays that shouldn't be there. It's much easier to fix problems now than after everything's covered. Let's talk about calibration, or as I like to call it, teaching your system to speak plant. Start with running your system for 15 minutes and then dig a small hole near your plants. The water should reach about 6 inches deep. That's your root zone sweet spot. Too shallow? Run it longer. Too deep? Reduce the time. It's like Goldilocks. You're looking for just right. Here's something nobody tells beginners. Your plants will tell you if they're happy with the calibration. Yellow leaves at the bottom? Probably too much water. Crispy leaf edges? Not enough. Watch your plants. They're like little water meters with leaves. Now for the maintenance part, your irrigation system's health insurance policy. Here's my simple monthly checklist that keeps my system running smooth as butter. First week of every month, do what I call the walk and watch. Turn on your system and walk every line. Look for sprayers shooting the wrong way, clogged drippers, or lines that have popped loose. Clean your filters. Oh my goodness, this is so important. A dirty filter is like trying to breathe through a straw stuffed with cotton. I clean mine monthly, and you wouldn't believe the gunk that builds up. 5 minutes of cleaning saves hours of troubleshooting. Here's a seasonal tip that saved my system last winter. Before the first freeze, drain every line. I use my air compressor to blow out the lines. It's like giving your system a spa day. Skip this step, and spring might greet you with a garden full of burst pipes. Check your timer settings with the seasons. Your plants need less water in spring than in midsummer. I adjust my watering times every month based on both the weather and how my plants are doing. It's like updating your wardrobe with the seasons. You wouldn't wear a winter coat in summer, right? Don't forget the end-of-season cleanup. Remove and clean all your drippers and sprayers. Store them in a bucket of vinegar water overnight. It's like a spa treatment that dissolves mineral buildup. Here's my favorite maintenance hack. Keep a system diary. Every time you make an adjustment or fix something, write it down. It's like having a time machine when problems pop up. You can look back and see what worked before. Remember, folks, a well-maintained irrigation system is like a loyal friend. Take care of it, and it'll take care of your garden for years to come. These simple steps might seem like extra work now, but they're actually your ticket to more free time later. Because let's be honest, we'd all rather spend our garden time picking vegetables than fixing leaks. So there you have it, installation and maintenance made simple. Just remember, take it step by step, listen to your plants, and give your system regular checkups. Do this, and you'll have an irrigation setup that runs smoother than a freshly sharpened pruning shear. Troubleshooting common irrigation problems. Let's tackle common irrigation problems you might face and their straightforward solutions. First, let's address clogged emitters and sprinkler heads, a frequent challenge in irrigation systems. The primary causes are mineral buildup, dirt particles, and debris in your water lines. To resolve this, clean or replace clogged emitters regularly, install mesh filters at your water source, and perform periodic system flushes to prevent blockages. Uneven watering patterns can severely impact crop health and yield. This typically occurs due to improper pressure, incorrect sprinkler spacing, or system design flaws. To ensure uniform water distribution, check and maintain consistent water pressure using pressure regulators. Verify proper sprinkler head spacing and overlap, and adjust spray patterns according to your garden's layout. Leaks and water waste represent both environmental and economic concerns. Common sources include loose fittings, cracked pipes, and worn-out components. Address these issues by regularly inspecting all connections and fittings, monitoring system pressure for unexpected drops, and promptly replacing damaged components. Install pressure gauges at key points to quickly identify potential problems. Key preventive measures include regular system inspections, maintaining clean filters, proper winterization in cold climates, keeping correct system pressure, scheduled maintenance checks. Remember, an efficient irrigation system is crucial for plant health and water conservation. Most problems can be prevented through regular maintenance and prompt attention to small issues before they become major complications. And there you have it, fellow farmers. We've covered everything from understanding basic irrigation principles to troubleshooting common problems. Remember, successful irrigation isn't about having the most expensive system. It's about understanding your plant's needs and applying these principles consistently. Whether you're starting with a small herb garden or managing acres of crops, the knowledge you've gained today is your foundation for growing success. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more practical farming tips and tricks. Have questions about your irrigation setup? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to help you solve them. And hey, if you want to see more in-depth guides like this one, let me know what topics you'd like me to cover next. Until next time, keep growing and keep learning. See you in our next video.